Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it's time for our April 2025 challenge, and it's an animal challenge. Hey, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's diagonal card mat dies, their Bear Faces stamp set, the Gnome Friends bear dies, and their thank you dies. And I'm using Echo Park's Dream Big 6-inch pad. And I did put together these backgrounds at a recent crop that I was at, so I made a bunch of them. So I'm going to make one card, but I've actually made quite a few of these. So first I have a piece of Paper Tray Ink Craft cardstock cut at 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches with my Martha Stewart scoreboard on my Teflon bone folder. And I'm going to add my background onto my card base. Now you've seen me put this background together in the past. I literally cut it out of all the different patterns of cardstock from that Dream Big Little Girl 6-inch pad from Echo Park. And I stick it down to some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock cut at 4 by 5.25 inches. And I use score tape for that. Okay, so next I'm going to be adding on a piece of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock to the inside, cut at 4 by 5.25 inches. There we go. And I'm just lining that up. Now, obviously, you could just write on the inside, but I do like the look of a white rectangular insert. Next, I'm going to add a strip of cardstock from that same, 6-inch pad from Echo Park. There we go. And I will trim off that overhang with a pair of scissors. So this is just a really easy thank you card. And I'm using Jaded Blossom's Gnome Friends bear dies, blah, 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 as my animal for this card. Jaded Blossom has a bunch of super cute little animals. So next I'm going to put together these thank you dies, cut the backgrounds out of Neenah Desert Storm 80-pound cardstock. And then the word itself was cut out of that same Echo Park Dream Big Little Girl 6-inch pad. And I'm just sticking this all together using my Barely Art glue and reverse tweezers. All my die cutting today was done with my Anna Griffin Empress machine, working on a Stampin' Up pad, all the things. So I love participating in Jaded Blossom's challenges. They're over on their Jaded Blossom blog. You can link up your project and we'd love to have a look at them. It's lots of fun. It kind of takes you out of your box, gets you to use your products in a different way, which is always a good thing. There we go. So I am adding on my last letter here. So it just says thank you, and I will weight it down with an acrylic block. Next, I'm going to assemble my little bear here. So I cut it out of American Crafts brown cardstock, and I'm not using all the pieces for this bear, just because you don't have to. It's going to be covered up by that thank you die. So, and I'm going to add the little ears, the little pink inserts on the ears. That was cut from American Crafts pink cardstock. There we go. Now I'm going to do some stamping. I'm going to stamp his little face in VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. Whoops, there we go. Onto that same American Crafts brown cardstock. There we go. I'm going to stamp that down. And his little muzzle was cut from Neenah Desert Storm 80-pound cardstock. And I'm going to stamp on his little nose and mouth. There we go. Isn't that cute? And then I'm going to add that to my little bear here in just a moment, using some Barely Art glue. Because this guy's going to be mostly covered up, you don't have to use all the layers. Just the main ones. The ones that show. I'm not going to bother putting his little belly fluff on because that doesn't show either. So I'm going to use some EK Success chalk and, add some chalk pinked cheeks to his fur, because of course he'd have pink cheeks on his fur, right? And I'm going to do the same thing to his little muzzle. And I'm going to pop that muzzle up with a Stampin' Up! Dimensional. There we go. Isn't that cute? I just think he looks adorable. I'm going to pull out a secure white Jelly Roll pen and a number 10 and add color in the highlight on his nose and add some little freckles to his cheeks, because why not? right? And isn't that cute? I just think Jaded Blossom's Gnome Friends bear add-ons are adorable. So I'm going to add some ATG tape to the back of this thank you word die. And then I'm going to line up my little bear behind it. There we go. And isn't that cute? And now I'm going to stick this guy down to my card front. I'm not going to bother popping them up. I'll add a little bit of glue just around the edges. And then we're going to add that to the lower right-hand corner of this card front. And isn't this cute? Look how cute he is. I love Jaded Blossom's card mat dies. This diagonal one is a favorite. So I'm going to pop up his little hands with little Stampin' Up! Dimensionals to make him look like he's holding the thank you or peeking from behind it. And there we go. So now I'm pulling out Jaded Blossom's banner dies and their embellishment cluster dies, and I'm going to be using these little pieces that I cut out of that same pattern paper that I used for the word thank you. And I'll be adding hearts to the front of this card base, just as, you know, a decorative detail. So on the inside, I'm going to add this little banner piece for fun. Why not? Lots of space to write something. On the inside, like I said, normally I'll stamp a sentiment, but this time I'm not going to. And now I'm going to pop up these little hearts with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals and add them to my card front, kind of in a visual triangle is what I'm going for. So I'll be adding 3 and just trying to pop things up evenly. Now I made a bunch of these at a recent card or at a recent crop. We rent a hall and scrapbook with our friends, which is lots of fun. So I made a bunch of these backgrounds and now I'm just putting them to use. So there we go. It's kind of hard to film there. It's a little dark, you know. So I film, you know, I save one that's unassembled and I'll film that one at home. And now I'm just going to add in my last little heart here once I figure out where it's going to go. And there we go. And isn't that cute? And I'm going to give this guy to add a few little hearts to the inside as well using these embellishment cluster dies. And there we go. So a little bit of fun for the inside as well. And now you can see these are all the other ones that I made with all the other different face stamps. Remember that I didn't add my hearts to these as of yet, but you get the gist. And there we go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, be inspired by the team, the Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on things. And please link up a project and join in the fun over at the Jaded Blossom blog for this challenge. You just have to use one of the animals on your card front. And that's all. So thank you for watching, and we will see you soon in our next video. Bye, everybody.